All right, everyone, it's time to talk about Hillary Clinton. She has officially endorsed Joe Biden at a very cringy and extremely goddamn boring presser that they had last night. I watched some of it. I watched like 5 minutes. And Biden actually appears to have possibly nodded off briefly during it. I felt the same way. I mean, listening to Hillary Clinton drone on and on and on is really, really terrible. That's a problem that she has. She tends to be very long-winded. Like some people, when they're in a conversation with another person, they're terse. They say a few sentences, the other person says a few sentences, and then they leave it at that. With Hillary Clinton, it's more, she was the one holding the press conference. And it was funny because it's funny watching Joe Biden say like, well, what would you do? No, you've got so much to add to things. Like he's not going to be a president, but just a sort of like the figurehead of a group of oligarchs, along with Bernie and Hillary as like unofficial advisors and weird shit. That's not very presidential. And he's getting flack even from the left. People on the left are starting to give him flack for specifically that. And this comports to tales from his inner circle about his governance style within his campaign. That he's indecisive, that he's constantly second-guessing himself, that he relies upon other people's feedback, and that if it's not unanimous, he gets all confused and it takes him too long to react. And so it makes him a weak candidate, which is why he had trouble putting it away against a near 80-year-old goddamn socialist. Anyway, I thought it was really funny, because Hillary Clinton is choosing exactly the funniest possible time to endorse, which is right in the middle of the Tara Reade story. Here, kitty, you're not the star of the show, you're only the co-host. So come down here. But, yeah, I got distracted a little bit. It's easy when you have something fluffy, something very, very squishy to pet. But it's funny because you get the Tara Reade thing. What's Hillary mainly known for? Standing by her man in the face of multiple allegations against him. And again, when we talk about Clinton, Bill Clinton, that is, Billary, allegations against him, most often people think you're talking about Monica Lewinsky, where it was consensual. It was kind of a workplace thing, but it was ultimately consensual, and it kind of got blown up by the Republicans. What they should have been focusing on were all the allegations against him when he was a governor. But by then they were outdated. And of course they circled the wagons around Bill at the time. They're doing the same with Biden, but it's really funny because he's still having trouble with this. And the reason why is because it looks really hard. It's really hard. It's like some people are saying, well, he might consider Kirsten Gillibrand. There's several stories up right now, and I think Gillibrand would be the best possible running mate, but here's one catch. Gillibrand is one of the few Dems that came out vocally against Al Franken. You remember that. It's not going to look good if she's not willing to do the same for Joe Biden, and especially if she ends up his running mate. That's going to lead to an awful lot of optics problems. I think she's off the short list now. I would have said that Gillibrand would be good, but now that she's in the focus, people are going to bring that up. I know that I would. And that could preclude her from being possibly the person that ends up running mate. Now, Stacey Abrams, of course, is grilled by none other than Don Lemon the other night, it's funny to see him pretend to do his journalistic duty, because, of course, Don Lemon's really just a hyped-up, biased goofball pundit. It was funny to see him do that, and she's like, no, I don't believe these allegations. I trust Biden 100%. It was really, really funny because she's got terrible optics, too. And if Biden's crazy enough to choose her as a running mate, he basically lost already. I love it when they talk about these matchup polls. And then they'll drag it out. It's usually CNN or Fox because they got the shittiest methodology. Notice how they never use a YouGov poll. There's a reason for that. Hillary Clinton endorsing Joe Biden, by the way, also discredits the concept that a lot of people have had, and I've always argued against this. Like H.A. Goodman has been the main pioneer of this in like sort of the YouTube commentary circles, but I see a lot of people leaving comments, like even on my video, saying, well, it's actually Hillary Clinton's going to be the one who jumps in. There's no reason for her to endorse Joe Biden and take that backseat sort of advisory style role, because he's sort of trying to do the unofficial advisory COVID-based digital campaign that he's so poor at. There'd be no reason for her to be very visible there if she were going to jump in. Like if she had actual designs to do that, she wouldn't have endorsed. She would stay relatively quiet, because otherwise she takes attrition if Biden does. Biden could die. Biden's, 77 years old. He's not in the greatest of health. He's clearly demented. He could be forced to drop out because he could have an Alzheimer's moment on stage and start taking his pants off. In which case somebody else jumps in. At this point, oddly enough, that would be Bernie Sanders. But I think that the DNC would definitely prevent that from happening. I think they'd be crazy if they tried to shoehorn Hillary Clinton in when she wasn't even in the running. I don't think it's going to happen. But I just thought it was funny. It's funny optics to see, Hillary Clinton is sort of the face of the anti-Me Too thing within the Dem Party because of her husband, her unilateral defense for the most part of Dems. But at the same time, you got all of these liberal figures who have said, hashtag Me Too, hashtag believe all women. No matter if there's evidence behind the allegation or not, we must believe them, and you should be thrown out on your ass. You should be deplatformed, fired, and put in jail if there's an allegation against you, even if nobody has any evidence. Let the witch hunts begin. There were a lot of liberals like that who now have to justify supporting Joe Biden. Really, the proper way to do that, by the way, and it sounds counterintuitive, is exactly how Abrams responded the other night on CNN. No, I don't believe the allegations, and I'm behind Biden 100%. Don't even explain yourself further. Just say this allegation is unique and I don't believe it. It'll look bad to people who already dislike you. It'll look bad to fence sitters. No Democrat's going to care about it. At least not the far left that already Biden's going to have massive problems getting aboard. I think he has to choose a running mate very, very carefully. He has to choose his platform very, very carefully. He has to trot Bernie out just enough and not too much very, very carefully. He has to walk a lot of really thin lines at the same time. It's like walking across a spider's web and trying not to put your foot through the gaps in it or something. Biden's going to have a real tough time navigating this particular campaign. And by the way, Hillary Clinton and the presser, again, so boring that literally put Biden to sleep, it appears, for a short period of time. It looked like he nodded off. I felt the same way. You watch 2 minutes of that. See if you can go and look it up. It's on Twitter and everywhere else. Go see if you can get through the whole thing. Like, I have to analyze politics for a living. I shut it off after 4 or 5 minutes. I just can't take it because Hillary Clinton is that goddamn poor at that kind of speaking. She needs a script in front of her in order to sound slightly entertaining. And even then, it's classic 90s, 2000s political swill when everyone's been primed now for 5-second sound bites and funny memes and a president that says weird shit all the time. That's what they want, by the way. The only time Biden says weird shit is when he doesn't mean to. Exactly the opposite of Donald Trump's particular selling approach. That's about all. Peace out.